The study of culture was first used by the pioneer English anthropologist Edward B. Taylor in his book Primitive Culture, published in 1871. Taylor said that culture is a complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, law, morals, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. The study of culture has complex relationships that provide the societal information in the given society. This is the reason why Taylor explained it as a complex whole, as it provides the multi-dimensional societal factors that is affected by the inter and intra-relationships of man in the social environment. The educational learning process of human being in a given societal information this can be learned in the parents, later on revolves in the family, then to tribal community, as it could adopt the sensory motors of the child in the environment. Basically, in the pedagogy of education, the learning process is confined in the cognitive domain or simply the intelligence or the mental ability of the human beings. It directs the physiological response of the brain to mentally process that dictated in the sensory system as primarily directed by sight, felt by touch, listened by the sounds, and taste by the smell. The mental capability must go hand in hand with emotional or psychological attachment, including intimacy and love. Primarily, the concept of culture revolves in the human society on its belief, art, morals, customs, and other capabilities such as values, norms, traditions, modes, folkways, language, race, ethnicity, technology, facts, and laws. These social variables provide the unique definition of culture for the understanding and adjustment of life in a given societal condition. In this lesson, we shall discuss the important concepts of culture such as values, beliefs, norms, language, folkways, modes, laws, traditions, and other similar concepts that will provide better understanding about the whole social experiences of man in the society. Values, beliefs, and norms. 1. Tradition as a general term refers to the custom, rituals, beliefs, folklore, habits in a given ethnic group. When we speak about culture, the usual key concept is still on tradition because of the universality of the concept on the social experiences derived from that community. 2. Folkways are the expected behavior being practiced in certain ethnic groups. They provide us the set of expected behavior to follow within the customs and habits in the ethnic groups. The good example of folkways in the community is courtship and dating, which prescribe certain behavioral practices that need to be followed as it is distinctly complemented the kind of custom and habits they have in their ethnic group. Beliefs are the ideas, viewpoints, and attitudes of the particular group of society. They consist of fables, proverbs, myths, folklore, traditions, superstition, education, and etc. that influence the ideas, values, emotions, perceptions, and attitude of the members of the society. They also think and decide on particular course of action which they believe conform on the set's social experience in the society. Values are the common ethical standards in a civilized society wherein group members have the ability to distinguish what is right or wrong. These are approved sets of action to follow as a part of societal life, and a violation of this act may require sanctions and punishment within the family or institution of the society. 5. Norms are the proper conduct of social behavior that should be followed in the society. Norms are unquestionable standards of what society considers as good and proper for social behavior. There are prescribed societal standards that should follow because these are appropriate, legal, ethical, and right actions. However, those who would not follow the set of societal standards are considered illegal, immoral, wrong, bad, and improper. 6. Language is a form of communication that represents the spoken and written words to convey information to an individual or group of people. The language also the best way to communicate specific group of people who have decipher and construct new form symbolic dialect that have been passed by one generation to another. These are in written forms, words, numbers, and even non-verbal communication such as facial expression and body movements and other sign languages. Some most are long established customs and traditions that have bearing in moral and ethical values of the society. They are the accepted customs of the society that prohibits following such as incest, infidelity, or sex abuse. A. Laws are the rules, regulations, and guiding policies of societal institutions. The violation of the laws means sanction or punishment for some wrongful acts by individuals such as homicide, murder, abortion, rape, robbery, and other criminal acts. Basically, these are the common concepts as applied in sociology and anthropology to further study the nature of man and society. It is usually the understanding of the social experience as man interacts in the society. Generally, it is the way of life that would focus how people think, act, and produce materials in its natural habitat. On the other hand, the sense of culture reflects the human products such as audiovisual arts and literary arts that revolve in past history and civilization of the ethnic society. The grouping as one tribal community interacted to form a distinct and unique culture that defines them later as race. Acculturation. Acculturation is a process in which members of one cultural group adopt the beliefs and behaviors of another group. Although acculturation is usually in the direction of a minority group adopting habits and language patterns of the dominant group, acculturation can be reciprocal. That is, the dominant group also adopts patterns typical of the minority group. Acculturation may be evidenced by changes in language preference, adoption of common attitudes and values, membership in common social groups and institutions, and loss of separate political or ethnic identification. Acculturation is the dual process of culture and psychological change that takes place as a result of contact between two or more cultural groups and their individual members. At the group level, it involves changes in social structures and institutions and in cultural practices. At the individual level, it involves changes in person's behavior, repertoire. These cultural and psychological changes come about through a long-term process, sometimes taking years, sometimes generations, and sometimes centuries. Acculturation is a process of cultural and psychological changes that involve various forms of mutual accommodation, leading to some long-term psychological and socio-cultural adaptations between both groups. Contact and change occur for a number of reasons, including colonization, military invasion, migration, and sojourning, such as tourism, international study, and overseas posting. It continues long after initial contact in culturally plural societies where ethno-cultural communities maintain features of their heritage cultures. While acculturation is a process that continues for long as there are culturally different groups in contact, some long-term adaptations to living in culture contact settings takes various forms, usually resulting in some form of longer-term accommodation among the groups in contact. This often entails, for example, learning each other's languages, sharing each other's food preferences, and adopting forms of dress and social interaction that are characteristic of each group. Sometimes these mutual adaptations take place rather easily through process of culture shedding and culture learning. But they can also create culture conflict and acculturative stress during intercultural interactions. One key feature of all acculturation phenomena is the variability with which they take place. There are large group and individual differences in the ways in which people seek to go about their acculturation, termed as acculturation strategies, and in the degree to which they achieve satisfactory adaptations. In addition to cultural group and individual variations, there are variations within families. Among family members, acculturation often proceeds at different rates and with different goals, sometimes leading to an increase in conflict and stress to more difficult adaptations. Acculturation contexts. There are five aspects of cultural contexts: the two original cultures A and B, the two changing ethno-cultural groups A0 and B0, and the nature of their contact and interactions. These five sets of phenomena define the nature of acculturation process at the cultural level and establish the starting point for process of acculturation at the psychological level. Beginning with these cultural level phenomena and taking the immigration process as an example, we may refer to the society of origin A and society of settlement B and their respective changing cultural feature following contact A1 and B. A complete understanding of acculturation would need to start with a fairly comprehensive examination of societal contexts. In the society of origin, the cultural characteristics that accompany individuals into the acculturation process need description, in part to understand literally where the person is coming from, and in part to establish cultural features for comparison with the society of settlement. The combination of political, economic, and demographic conditions being faced by individuals in their society of origin also needs to be studied as a basic for understanding the degree of voluntariness in the migration motivation of acculturating individuals. Arguments by Richmond 1993 suggest that migrants can be arrayed on a continuum between reactive and proactive, with the former being motivated by factors that are constraining or exclusionary and generally negative in character, and the latter are motivated by factors that are facilitating or enabling and generally positive in character. These contrasting factors have also been referred to as push or pull factors in the earlier literature on migration motivation. Cultural competence. This term refers to ability of human service professionals to serve clients of a wide range of cultures effectively. As an emerging professional standard, precise definitions vary, but cultural competence is generally considered to require specific knowledge and skills as well as the personal traits such as flexibility and attitudes such as tolerance that facilitate success. It is very important for both the work unit and managers to understand the ethnic, cultural, and gender differences of all the personnel and leaders in a business setting. It has been reported by Gascon 2009 that is most working places employees differ in cultures and values. For example, in a company where Arabs and Chinese men work, there is bound to be a problem if the company has not yet dealt with how to get employees focused on the main goal in the company. Gascon reports that the Arabs do not inquire about female relatives and they consider it an insult when someone asks them, while the Chinese are very humble and polite and tend to focus on family more than anything, so they ask their colleagues how their families are doing each morning when they report to work. Some people tend to take it as a curse when a female manager tells them to do anything at the workplace because most cultures do not allow women to be the head of the business or the family. It is very important for a manager to address these issues so that whole company can come to an agreement about how different cultures view women in the society and how some people need to embrace and also respect the cultures. While the employees are taught how to accommodate each other with their different cultures, people in the workplace are taught about their goals in the company, and their goals are to improve in teamwork and also communication skills. Gascon reported that employees who appreciate the cultures of other people as they would want other people to appreciate theirs are very easy to deal with because they find it fascinating to learn the cultures, ethics, and values of their colleagues at work. It is also very important for employees who deal with marketing to learn the cultures of people they are going to sell their products to. This is mainly because people from a strict religious background do not entertain women wearing a short skirt or tight clothes, while other people misinterpret other words used in marketing to mean obscene words in their own cultures. This is considered as an insult to the various communities. It is very important to know what different words, dresses, foods, animals, or values mean in different cultures in the world because with globalization, a company can maintain a good trade relationships when they understand the cultures of their trade partners and also respect their values. Dr. Noval reported that when people in a workplace have come to an understanding about the values and ethics of each workmate, it is very easier for the work unit to work as a team and achieve their own goals as well as those of the company. Managers are the role models in learning, embracing, and respecting others' employees' lifestyles. The management needs to place rules and regulations that diminish racism, tribalism, and also disrespect towards gender difference. People in the workplace should be mentored so that they learn the qualities of having different people working in the same company. Dr. Noval suggests that different cultures and traditional backgrounds means diversity in trade because a person of Mexican descent can negotiate trade very well with a Mexican businessman who do not focus so much on time and might be late without notice or apologies. Managers need to encourage their employees to assist each other in the workplace and also at the areas because individualism can only lead to failures in achieving personal goals and also failure in the company goals due to lack of teamwork. People need each other to survive and live happily. In case a company is experiencing change, employees who have strongly positive relationships will help each other adjust and adapt to change faster than the employees who do not accommodate each other in the workplace. In simple words, a group of managers can change the entire company to reach greater heights of growth and development if they help their employees understand how their different lifestyles make them who they are. The employees can learn to accept each other with their different cultures and norms on different matters. However, employees should be advised to respect the lifestyles their colleagues choose to live because they are at liberty to decide for themselves because they are all adults and people who can understand each other. Culture shock. Culture shock is the physical and emotional discomfort experienced by immigrants and other arrivals to a new social or cultural environment. Symptoms of cultural shock include a profound sense of not feeling at home or comfortable, uncertainty about the meaning of social cues, insecurity in the new environment, and anxiety about the future. People experiencing culture shock may exhibit a variety of psychological and psychosomatic symptoms such as worry, depression, inability to sleep, obsessions, headaches, or other pain. Culture shock can be surprising, confusing, or disorienting. When a person is suddenly thrown into an unfamiliar culture, they encounter a way of life that is different than their own. The perspectives, behaviors, and experiences differ from culture to culture. There is this story that dealt with Danish mother leaving her baby outside of a restaurant in a stroller for over an hour while she was inside eating. To us Indians, this seems absurd. However, in Denmark, this is common practice because it is thought that inside a restaurant a baby could be exposed to harmful things like cigarette smoke, but outside there is a fresh air. The Danish mother who came to India experienced culture shock when she realized that what she did was not common in India. Experts have identified varying stages of culture shock. The most common stages of culture shock one faces with traveling, relocating abroad are stimulation. The first stage of travel relocation is commonly full of hope and excitement. Culture shock is kept at bay due to a positive outlook mixed with an enthusiasm for the relocation. Interaction with the host culture is primarily passive. Cultural shock. At this stage, the people start to interact with the host culture actively. Symptoms of culture shock start to appear such as homesickness, boredom, lethargy, irritability, and hostility to the host culture. Adjustment after the initial settling in period and understanding and empathy with host culture starts to develop. People feel more comfortable with their routines and surroundings. A working knowledge of the language begins to be used actively. Enthusiasm. The relocation is now a distant memory and the host country becomes home. The effects of culture shock lessen as a genuine enjoyment of the new location develops. Elements of the host culture behaviors and mentality are adopted. Rather than criticized, certain areas of the host culture are preferred to the native culture. Conclusion. The concept of culture has greatly expanded our understanding of nature and behavior of human beings in all the richness and diversity, as well as the relation to the behavior of animals. It has greatly helped us in understanding the diverse way in which the basic biological needs of human beings are satisfied. It has brought to our awareness the differences among the various communities and groups of mankind and the manner in which these differences are continued and passed from one another. The concept of culture is immensely helpful in that it offers us a truly broad perspective on mankind and thereby expands our intellectual horizons. It liberates us from the chain of prejudice and group centeredness and thus humanizes our consciousness. In conclusion, we may say that the concept we learned in this lesson, the common concept as applied in sociology and anthropology, to further study the nature of man and society. It is usually the understanding of the social experiences as man interacts in the society. Generally, it is the way of life that will focus how people think, act, and produce materials in its natural habitat. On the other hand, the sense of culture reflects the human products such as audiovisual arts and literary arts that revolved in the past history and civilization of the ethnic society. The grouping as one tribal community interacted to form a distinct and unique culture that defines them later as race.